Venus, some of them, Sandra. So we will begin on singing of the Lord's holy names. Then we will begin the talk. Keep on. Please repeat after me. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yashodanandana Vraja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanatari Yamuna Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Please repeat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Gopi Vallabh Radha Gopi Vallabh Radha Jai Jagannath Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadramani Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Sri Radha Gopi Vallabh ki jai. Sri Gauranatai ki jai. Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maya ki jai. Okay. Once again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for a Sunday feast class. Our topic for today is infatuation toward God, the pinnacle of spiritual perfection. We see in this material world, infatuation is a very powerful feeling. Uh, Could we see if the recording is going on? Some devotees do request a live. So, we see in this world, infatuation is a very powerful feeling. Where does it originate? Does it have any counterpart on the spiritual platform? We are going to see that today. And if it does, how do we attain that? In this world, has any one of you experienced any infatuation? We can raise our hands. We need not feel shy. So it's a very powerful feeling that consumes us, occupies our consciousness. And as we are going to see today, it certainly does have a spiritual counterpart as well, which is very pure, divine, and uplifting. So let's begin with some section from this great scripture called Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We will read some verses and then we will try to understand the context and what lessons we can learn from it. Okay, so somehow uh, we did not have time to connect it with the TV there and display them, but it's just a set of 5 verses, and we are simply going to read the English translations. We won't be reciting the original verses as such. So I can read them out, and I can also point them to you from where I'm reading. But nevertheless, I'll read them slowly and carefully so that it's uh, understandable. Okay, so this is from a section called Madhya Leela in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is a great scripture uh, delineating the pastimes, the wonderful activities of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who we have there on the altar. On the leftmost altar, we see two personalities. They are Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityanand Prabhu. On the right is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and on his left is Nityanand Prabhu. They are both incarnations of Lord Krishna and Lord Balram. And how wonderful is their incarnation and the mercy they distributed. So today we'll see one small section from Chaitanya Charitamrita and try to understand what infatuation towards God means based on this section. Okay, so this is from a section called Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's chapter 19, text 61. So we will read from text 61 to 65, only the translations. It's hardly 5 sentences. So I'll just read them out without displaying them here. Okay. Text 61. At that time, Sri Vallabha Bhatta was staying at Adaila Gram, and when he heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had arrived, he went to his place to see him. Text 62. Vallabha Bhattacharya offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu his obeisances, his pranams, and the Lord embraced him. After that, they discussed topics about Krishna for some time. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in a town called Prayagraj in India. It's in Uttar Pradesh. It's the place where three rivers come and meet. Which three rivers? Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Yes. So Lord Chaitanya is in Prayagraj. He is on his way back to Jagannath Puri from Sri Vrindavan Dham, and he spends a few days in Prayagraj performing very wonderful leelas. And there's this great scholar, Vedic scholar, of Vedic scriptures and even Srimad Bhagavatam. His name is Vallabha Bhattacharya, and he is also a Vaishnava. He has great attraction for Lord Krishna. So Vallabha Bhattacharya comes to know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in town, and Vallabha Bhattacharya very eagerly goes to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he comes to meet Lord Chaitanya, he pays his respects to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya picks him up and embraces him. And soon after, they began discussing topics about Lord Krishna, not topics about current politics. What's the latest movie being released on the blockbuster? They discuss topics about Lord Krishna, transcendental topics. And in the course of the discussion, what happened? I'll read the next 3 verses. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt great ecstatic love when they began discussing Krishna. But the Lord checked his feelings because he felt shy before Vallabha Bhatta. Next verse, 64. Although the Lord restrained himself externally, ecstatic love raged within. Please listen to these words carefully. Ecstatic love raged within. As Vallabha Bhatta and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are discussing topics about Lord Krishna, what is raging within the heart of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. It's raging within his heart. It's bubbling. There was no checking that. Vallabha Bhatta was astonished to detect it. So although Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his shyness, did not want to, great devotees, they do not want to show off their love for God or their real spiritual advancement before somebody else. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to check his ecstatic emotions. But nevertheless, Vallabha Bhatta noticed them. It was, um, he couldn't miss it. So he noticed that Lord Chaitanya is going into such deep states of ecstasy. Love was pouring out from his persona, and Vallabha Bhatta couldn't miss it. He had to notice it. Next verse, 65. Thereafter, Vallabha Bhatta invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch, and the Lord introduced the brothers Rup and Vallabha to him. So now in these five verses that we read, there are two Vallabhas. One is Vallabha Bhattacharya, who is a Vedic scholar having discussions with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then nearby, there are two brothers, Rup Goswami and his younger brother, who is known as Shri Vallabha or Anupam. He has two names. So Anupam was a name given to him by Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So, yeah, that's all. We just wanted to read these five verses from this section of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And now we will dive into some really nice observations about it and what it means for us. Okay. So, yeah. So, to give a little more of the context about what's happening here. So, Lord Chaitanya, he resided in Jagannath Puri, and he was on his way to, he visited Vrindavan, the place of Lord Krishna. And from Vrindavan, now he was going back to Jagannath Puri. And on the way, he visits Prayagraj. And he stays in Prayagraj for a few days. Here, he delivers his teachings to this great saint, Rup Goswami, about whom also we briefly read in the five verses. So Rup Goswami also happened to be there in Prayagraj that time. And it is on the basis of these teachings that Lord Chaitanya gave to Rup Goswami that Rup Goswami wrote the entire magnificent canon of Gaudiya Vaishnava literature that he produced. And all the teachings and practices we follow in ISKCON, they are all based on the writings of Srila Rup Goswami. And on whose teachings are Rup Goswami's writings based? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself did not write any literature as such, but he taught whatever he spoke to his disciples. His disciples captured it within sacred texts for all of us, for all time to come. So, yes, during this visit of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Prayagraj, he spent 10 days with Rup Goswami, just giving him teachings. And Rup Goswami later on, he settled in Vrindavan. He lived there like a mendicant, sleeping under a different tree every night. And he captured all these teachings in sacred texts. Now, coming to these specific verses, the context is during this particular visit of Lord Chaitanya to Prayagraj, Vallabha Bhatta, who was a great scholar on Srimad Bhagavatam, he also happened to be there. And when he heard that Lord Chaitanya was in Prayagraj, he felt spontaneously attracted to go and meet him. Thus, he came to see Lord Chaitanya. And when great personalities come together, they naturally feel drawn toward discussing topics about Lord Krishna with each other. In other words, they are addicted to Krishna Katha, discussions about Lord Krishna. Now, in this particular episode, what happens to Lord Chaitanya when topics about Lord Krishna began to be discussed? as we read these words, ecstatic love raged within. So, what are we observing here? We see here ecstatic remembrance of Lord Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is ecstatically remembering Lord Krishna. So, yeah. In other words, we see in the verses that we read, we got some glimpse into what infatuation toward God means. So, now, as Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, as he taught us, this ecstatic love for God, this infatuation toward God, is the highest spiritual perfection. There's no other perfection beyond that. Reducing our eating, reducing our sleeping, these are not considered to be the highest spiritual perfection. Or the ability to steadily focus on some object, that's not considered to be the highest spiritual perfection. What is considered to be the highest spiritual perfection? Infatuation toward God, ecstatic love for God. So, now, who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He is an incarnation of Krishna. He is Krishna himself who descended into this world to show us how to love God. God coming as his own devotee to show us by example how to love God and not just come to some temple, pay some respects to God and ask God for some good grades in school or a nice job or what else. What are the things people usually tend to ask from God uh, by coming to a temple? What are the things we may ask from God? Huh? Job and yeah. What else? Or good life. Good life, good wife. What else? Good husband, nice bungalow, nice car, nice gadgets. So, Srila Prabhupada and his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they taught us uh, there's something called pious materialism as well. Or, in other words, it can also be alternately termed as materialistic piety. One may be pious or believer in God, one may come to God, but ask for this thing and that thing. God give me this, God give me that. So, so what is pious materialism? One may be pious, but yet the goals are materialistic. God is not the goal. So, in pious materialism, one sees God as the fulfiller of all desires. Whereas one who becomes spiritually advanced sees God as the fulfillment of all desires. So, beginner spirituality means God is the fulfiller of my desires. Advanced spirituality means God is the fulfillment of all my desires. So, and as we walk on this path of advanced spirituality, the process of bhakti yoga that Srila Prabhupada taught us, which is all based on the Vedic scriptures, that process, that advanced spirituality, it shows us that God is the fulfillment of all our desires. God is the highest perfection to achieve. God is the goal of all spiritual perfection. Infatuation with God is the pinnacle of all spiritual perfection. That's what advanced spirituality teaches us. Now, yeah, we were seeing who is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an incarnation of Lord Krishna himself, who came to this world to show us by his own example how to become infatuated with God, how to madly fall in love with God. And he showed it by his own example. And he too wanted to God wanting to put himself in the position of a devotee who is madly in love with him. And that is what the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. Any perfect example can be said only by the Lord, ultimately, only by God. Anything can be perfectly done only by either God or somebody specifically empowered by God. So, for example, the example of a perfect king was set by one of the incarnations of God. Who was that? Who was it? Lord? Lord Ram. Yeah. He said that the example of a perfect king. So, similarly, the example of a perfect devotee who was fully crazy for God, infatuated with God, was set by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, who is God himself. Now, here, while discussing Krishna Katha with Vallabh Bhatta, Lord Chaitanya went into ecstasy. Irresistible attraction toward Lord Krishna began to rage within him. He just couldn't control himself. Although externally he tried to check himself, but Vallabha Bhatta could notice it. Oh, he's experiencing some deep, ecstatic love for her. Sri Ramadevala ki jai. Sri Ramadevala ki jai. Sri Jagannath Balle Subhadramaya ki jai. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. So, now, when um, someone has ecstatic love for God, somebody who is a true lover of God feels irresistibly attracted to God. Even while discussing other topics, one's mind may go toward God. One's mind may turn towards spiritual topics. Isn't that is, isn't this how infatuation works? Even worldly infatuation. What happens in worldly infatuation? Say when a boy is attracted to a girl, a young boy attracted to a young girl, or a young girl attracted to a young boy. Whatever they are trying to do, again and again, they are reminded of somebody they are madly attracted towards, or they have fallen in love with. So, similarly, somebody who is on this highest platform, spiritual platform, infatuation toward God, or crazy attraction toward God, somebody who is madly in love with God, cannot help but feel irresistibly attracted to God. And they uh, they are consumed by passion for God. They are obsessed with God. They are addicted to God. This is good addiction. This is a very desirable addiction. Addiction to God. Craze for God. Infatuation for God. In fact, that's the pinnacle of all spiritual perfection. So, now, as far as we are concerned, we may often land up in an opposite situation. Our state of consciousness is often opposite of this highest spiritual state. Say, for example, we may be in the temple and some nice member of the opposite gender walks in. Our consciousness may get drawn toward that member of the opposite gender. And rather than focusing on God, our focus turns toward that attractive member of the opposite gender. So, however, those who are spiritually exalted, even if by chance they may end up talking to some very attractive member of the opposite gender, they will be rather drawn toward God again and again. They will be drawn toward Krishna again and again. Oh, where is Krishna? He's so attractive. When will I go and chant his holy names? When will I go and hear topics about him? So that is the exalted state of spiritual attraction toward God. Hare Krishna. Seeking your blessings. So, Now, however, when our attraction toward God starts blossoming, we realize that love for God is the highest achievement. There's no higher achievement than that. In fact, Rup Goswami, about whom we just briefly discussed something, he taught us this example. If love for God is available as a commodity in the market, one must be Hare Krishna. Can we have, can you reduce the volume, please? You are doing wonderful seva. Please continue, but just reduce the volume. Thank you. So, Rup Goswami gave us this example that if love for God is available as a commodity in the market, available for purchase, one must be willing to pay any price to get it. Now, let's try to understand. If this table or mic is available and all of this comes from the market, so suppose some dealer is charging $1 million for this table. Will any one of us pay $1 million for this? Not at all. However, Rup Goswami is saying if love for God, love for Krishna is available as a commodity in the market, one must be willing to pay any price for it. Any price, practically, any type of sacrifice. Uh, Love for God is so precious that uh, those who understand its value, they're willing to make any sacrifices toward this goal and toward sharing this goal with us. Now, let us please not confuse this with any sort of terrorism. Sometimes we see in this world, terrorism also happens in the name of serving God. But that is a completely misconstrued understanding of love for God. In real love for God, one is willing to lay down one's life, make all types of sacrifices out of love for God. There's no absolutely no sentiment of hatred in real love for God. So where's the question of becoming a terrorist in the name of God? So those who become terrorists in the name of serving God, that's not real love for God. It's just somehow using love in the name of religion, somehow venting out one's own ego, using religion to fulfill one's own egoistic purposes. That's not real love for God. So, yeah, when one becomes irresistibly attracted to God, when one realizes the value of love for God, one is willing to pay any price to attain it. And love for God is so satisfying, so pleasing. It's the natural state of every living entity. We are made to love God and to serve God, and in that we derive supreme happiness. Even in this world, if we see, which of these two gives us joy, selfishness or selflessness? How many of you say selfishness gives us joy? How many of you say selflessness gives us joy? Pretty much all of you. In fact, this question was asked to the bright minds of IIT Bombay. One of our saints from ISKCON, His Holiness Devamrit Swami, he gave a talk in IIT Bombay. IIT, for those who don't know, IITs are the premier engineering institutes in India, the top engineering colleges in India. Just like here in the US, we have Ivy League, Stanford, and all. So he was giving a talk in IIT Bombay, Mumbai. Then he began his talk with a question that literally befuddled all the bright minds of IIT Bombay. They had no answer for it. His question was, in selfishness, we apparently gain something. Selfishness means trying to attract more assets and so on toward us. Right? So in selfishness, we apparently gain something, but still we become miserable. In selflessness, selflessness involves parting with something that may be dear to you. In selflessness, we apparently lose something, but still we become happy. How do we explain that? They had no answer for it. Why? Because the answer doesn't exist on the material platform. The answer lies on the spiritual. Hmm? Why? Although selflessness typically means parting with something, hmm, we are sort of losing some assets or some time, but still we become happy in them. Why? What makes this possible? That's because we are made to love God and serve God. In loving God, in loving Krishna, there's supreme happiness for us. And so, even in this world, that highest spiritual reality, that highest spiritual principle reflects even in this world. That when we go beyond ourselves, when we think beyond ourselves and think of others, it naturally, it's a sort of situation that is closer to our original spiritual situation where we are loving and serving God. So, of course, it's not the spiritual perfection, but still, even in this world, when we think beyond ourselves and do something selflessly for others, it produces some joy. Why? Because as spiritual beings, it's our innate tendency to love and serve God. So, although in this world we are living in forgetfulness of God, but still, even in this world, that same spiritual principle, when it dimly reflects in this world as selflessness toward others, it produces joy for us. So, the answer for why selfishness produces misery and selflessness produces joy doesn't lie on the material platform. Material calculations cannot explain this, but spiritual calculation can explain this. So, now, yeah, before we continue our discussion on this exalted state of infatuation toward God, it is worthwhile spending some time on trying to understand what other infatuations in this world are holding us back and not allowing us to make progress in our spiritual journey. Welcome, Robert. Hare Krishna. Huh? Money, yes, yes. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Robert. Yes, money. One of our infatuations that holds us back from reaching that exalted state of infatuation toward God. So, in fact, yeah, before I share the points I have listed, let's hear from you. What other infatuations do you think in this world can hold us back from our spiritual progress, from our material fame? Wonderful, yeah, fame, the desire for fame. Wonderful. What else? Hmm? Money. Yes. Yeah. Money, fame. Anything else? Power and influence upon others. Yes. What else? Relationships. Yeah. Specifically, if they are exploitative relationships. Yeah. Sorry. Greed. Yeah. Sort of. Anger. Greed. Yeah. Wonderful. Hmm? So, we can summarize our material infatuations in three categories. Uh, yeah, there are three main infatuations we face in this world. And in Sanskrit, they are termed as Kanak, Kamini, and Pratishta. So, Kanak, and two of these were already pointed out by you. So, Kanak is money, gold. Money is sweeter than honey for everyone, isn't it? Hmm? People are so crazy after money. So many of us, and I admit I'm not completely free from it either. So many of us, we may daydream of becoming very rich. Oh, I wish I had invested in that stock when the price was lowest. Oh, I wish I had I was active at the time of Bitcoin boom. So yeah, very often we are caught up in these kind of thoughts. We may also daydream or imagine, oh, how nice it will be if I can also become successful like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates. Yeah, I also want my name to be there in that list. Of course, I am a spiritualist. I'll help build many temples with that money, but still need something for myself also. It'll be nice if I also become a big billionaire. So, yes, the desire for money. Now, how do we logically explain to our mind that this desire is not really our real self interest? If we just simply consider the temporary nature of this world, for the Atma, for the soul who is eternal, who is timeless, one lifespan doesn't mean much. It's not significantly better than a dream. Hmm? How long does a dream last? Say somebody sleeps 8 hours. A dream may hardly last 8 hours, right? Now, even in a dream, we fully identify with the dream, right? We fully get caught up in the dream. We think it's really happening, isn't it? Or is there anyone here who is fully aware in his or her dream that I am dreaming and this is only a dream? This is not a reality at all. No, all of us. In a dream, we all get caught up in the dream. Hmm? So the scriptures explain our lifespan itself is not significantly better than a dream. It's only expanded a little in time. A dream may be for 6 to 8 hours, but this big expanded dream is 6 to 8 decades. Yeah, roughly, if we consider that as somebody's lifespan. So it's just expanded in time. So when we consider the temporariness of this world, the temporary nature of things around, it can be a nice wake up call to turn toward reality, to turn toward what is real. But somehow we consider these things are temporary circumstances around, we get so caught up in them that we consider them more real than God, than Lord Krishna. So much so that even while chanting the pure holy names of God, these thoughts capture us. So, yes, desires for money, it's a sort of infatuation that keeps us away from the real desirable infatuation toward God. Then what else? One of you also said fame, the desire for fame. So, if we see those who have actually climbed the ladder of success and become famous, if they are honest, they'll admit, "Oh, this is really not what I thought. I thought fame will give me immense happiness, but it hasn't." Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the guru of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya of ISKCON, what a great saint he was. He has written a beautiful song, Dushtamana Tumi Kisera Vaishnava. There he says, Pratisthasha Taru Jada Mayamati. This fame is like a mirage in the desert. How is a what is a mirage? A mirage is a false, illusory reflection in the desert, right? Because of refraction of light, one may see some tree which is far away. One may see some reflection along with that tree. Hmm? And one may think there's a water body there. And in a desert, naturally, one gets so thirsty that one runs after that mirage. You get some you get water, you get happiness. Such an oasis I have found, and one runs after it. Okay? When one reaches them, it's just there's no water there. So similarly, fame appears like that. What an oasis it is. Hmm? Fame appears like an oasis, which will really make us joyful. But those who reach that pinnacle of fame, they realize that this was nothing. Rather, people in whose eyes we may be famous, do they really love us? No. You see, in this world, so many people criticize politicians, right? Has any one of you ever criticized any politician, be it in India or US? All of us practically. Huh? But still, if that politician is nearby, we would want to go and click a picture with him, right? Even though we may criticize him. Hmm? Why? Because we also feel nice about it. That's because of our desire also for fame. Then we get to post that picture somewhere, right? At many places. See, I got a picture with so and so. So now we know we criticize all these politicians. We find flaws in them, but still we may go and Hare Krishna, silence, please. So we may still want to go and click pictures with them. So it's natural. Those politicians, they are also aware that all these people who show so much craze for me, they are not really in love with me. After attaining that pinnacle of fame, they realize "Oh, this was just a mirage." If they are honest, they will reveal. They will reveal it. What is this desire for fame? In the spiritual realm, where the Atma resides with Lord Krishna, with God, where we have an eternal relationship of love with the Lord, we are so much inundated by love for the Lord, and we feel inundated by His love for us. In fact, His and her love. Hmm? Lord Krishna's and Radharani's love for us. We feel so inundated by God's love uh, that we feel oceanic happiness in that love. Now, in this material world, when we come, this is a place of forgetfulness of God, an illusory place, a dreamlike place, uh, which is characterized by temporariness. Actually, the temporariness in this world makes everything futile. If we carefully see it, if there's such an English word, futilate means make everything futile. So the temporariness in this world, which is the all-pervading fabric of this material existence, it futilates everything, makes everything futile. Um, so, of course, this doesn't mean we stop doing our duties or jobs, but when we consider from the perspective of higher truths, running after anything temporary, it's no better than chasing after wind. This is not my analogy, this is one thinker from the uh, pre Jesus Christ era, his thoughts. There's one thinker one king uh, from that area where Jesus Christ was also born. So this king's thoughts, his philosophical thoughts, come in the Old Testament. So even after having reached the pinnacle of all success, he realized there's nothing out here. It's like chasing after wind. Chasing after anything temporary is no better than chasing after wind. So that king brings up lots of questions, which he has written down in his book called Ecclesiastes. But he leaves them unanswered. But one of the saints in ISKCON, who happened to be born in a Jewish family, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, he wrote a book called Raman. Oh, okay. Wonderful. Oh, I thought you were going to answer which book that is. So, uh, Jayadvaita Swami wrote this book called Vanity Karma. And he answers that all the questions which, oh yes. So, Oh, Hare Krishna. Those who just left. Could we call them? We have Aarti starting soon. Okay. So, yes, anything that's temporary, running after anything temporary is like chasing after wind. So, these are realizations of one king, and but he still leaves many questions unanswered. He himself has no answers, but they are still noted down in some sections of Old Testament. And Jayadvaita Swami, who was himself born in a Jewish family, he answers them in his book called Vanity Karma. Very beautifully, he gives answers to all these questions. So we see that now, since we have just 5 minutes, we will speed up a little. We have two great examples of infatuation toward God to be discussed. So we will speed up uh, this discussion on worldly infatuations, which stop us from the desirable spirit pinnacle of spiritual perfection. That is heritage. So we discussed that desires for money, fame, these things, these infatuations, they hold us back. And the third one was desires for the opposite gender, to derive pleasures, to somehow squeeze out pleasures from the opposite gender. So, uh, yeah, so basically, money, fame, and sex desire, these three are considered to be great, very powerful in worldly infatuations, which hold us back from the real spiritual infatuation toward God. Now, but those who are irresistibly attracted to God, and we too can sincerely desire to come to that platform of irresistible attraction to God, to Lord Krishna. So it's not difficult to achieve. If we sincerely desire it, it is very much possible. We just have to, just like we put in endeavor to attain anything material, to achieve some material success, we have to put in some effort toward it and wait for Lord Krishna's mercy. And Hare Krishna, can we have some silence, please? Yeah. So, in 500 years ago, when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had appeared, there was one devotee, Haridas Thakur, who had also appeared with it. He, in fact, came a little before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Haridas Thakur, how addicted he was to God, to Krishna. Once what happened? There was a snake charmer who was, yeah, has anyone of you seen snake charmers play some snake music, and snakes also dance listening to that music? So there was a snake charmer who was singing. What was he singing? He was singing the pastimes of Lord Krishna in the form of a song. He was singing which pastime of Lord Krishna? Does someone know? Some Lord Krishna subdued one snake who happened to have polluted the Yamuna river. Kali, yes. Thank you. So this snake charmer, he was singing how Lord Krishna subdued the Kaliya snake. And Haridas Thakur, who was passing by, he, as soon as he heard it, he fell down in ecstasy and was just absorbed in that ecstasy. And uh, the snake charmer, he paused for a while, showing respect to Haridas Thakur, and he gave him way. And after some time, Haridas Thakur came back to external consciousness and he left from there. And everyone was amazed seeing that ecstatic transformation in Haridas Thakur. Now, there was another fellow in that assembly, in the audiences. He tried to imitate Haridas Thakur. He tried to falsely show that ecstasy, same ecstasy. But this snake charmer, he was inspired by God to pick up a stick and he bait that person who was trying to falsely imitate Haridas Thakur. And then he ran away. So this is one example. Time doesn't permit us to go very deep. Another example, Hanumanji. when he was in Lanka searching for Mother Sita, even though he was in an intense operation, when he heard Lord Ram's names being chanted from the palace of Vibhishan, he felt such ecstasy. He stopped for a while to absorb the name of the Lord. Hmm? So what a lover of God was Hanumanji. What a lover of Lord Ram he was. What a lover Lord Krishna was Haridas Thakur. So yes, let us all aspire for this highest perfection of infatuation toward God, toward Lord Krishna. And the easiest and best method in this Kali to attain this highest spiritual state of infatuation toward God is chanting the holy names as it was revealed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So now we are going to sing the glories of Lord Krishna, chant his names, and we will do Gaur Arti now. Yes, we will be singing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. For those of you who are not familiar with the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it's written down there. 16 word mantra, uh, names of God very beautifully. We can sing them with devotion and we can prayerfully chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, begging the Lord to bless us with this spiritual infatuation. Hare, let's say it together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone. So now we will move on to the next part of the program, chanting, kirtan. Hare Krishna. Let's give a round of applause to Hare Krishna. Please stand up. We'll have a standing worship now. Everyone, please come forward. जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ जय राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ राधा गोपी वल्लभ गोपी वल्लभ Vijaya Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha. Jaya Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha. Jaya Radha, Gopi Vallabh Radha. Vishnu Padavaya